Hello and welcome back to a Liv Teixeira production. I'm so excited because one of my absolutely incredible, amazing, life-changing friendships made me come up with this podcast idea. And we were really in the depths of one of those life-changing conversations. And in this conversation, we came to the conclusion that you have met everyone else's needs but your own. And this idea that time is running out, as much as we have this abundance of never-ending time that is considered our lives, we also have such a short amount of time in which we're able to really dive deep into our passions in life. Whether this is your career, your hobbies, your interests, whatever it may be, there's only so much time. And if you're not doing it now, you can't even kid yourself, you're not doing it. And we had this crazy conversation about how, you're meeting everyone else's needs and now it's time to finally meet your own. And I don't know how much, we haven't talked too much about the Enneagram and things like that, but the Enneagram has a lot to do with the way in which you give and find value in yourself and the world and all of those things, right? And this person just so happened to be a 2-wing 3, which is the helper and the achiever. And sometimes the helper in general can get lost in actually giving to others that they never then give to themselves. So everyone that's listening, it's so important and crucial that you know what you want out of life. I mean, I have preached this time and time again, the self-awareness of yourself, the self-awareness of your interests, of what you want to do in your life. You need to know these things. And if you don't know them, you are literally you're trying to take a shot in the dark. You're never going to make it. You're never going to be truly happy or successful at the capacity that you could be or the capacity that you truly want to be, because you're never investing the time to figure out what are the things that make me tick. What are the things that make me excited? And so this ties into a topic that we've talked a little bit about in the past, and that's how to be selfish in a good way. Now, if you are being selfish in the way of being an asshole, that's not a good thing. We're not here to praise that type of selfish. But I will sit here and tell you that being selfish is a good thing. You need to be selfish in your goals and your ambition and the life that you want to live, what you truly want, your desires. And oftentimes we're so worried about what other people have going on, whether they're our loved ones or the people that we're working with, the people in our lives, that we don't actually give ourselves a chance to invest in ourselves and be selfish with our time. And this causes a lot of issues. This causes things like burnout and resentment and anger and issues that involve you not doing the things that you want to do in your life. I don't want you to look back at 30 years old, at 60 years old, at 90 years old, sitting there thinking, if I didn't give away so much of my time so freely and carelessly, I could have accomplished the things that I always wanted to accomplish. I could be living a life that I adore living. I don't want you guys to settle. I don't necessarily do these podcasts for shits and giggles. I don't do them for myself. I don't do them for fun, even though they are fun for me. I do them so you guys can listen. I do them so I can be a voice of reason for you guys to make a change, to become self-aware, to actively work towards something in your life that matters selfishly to you and you only. Because like I said, when you invest all this time in other people and other people are either governing or the focal points of your life, you lose touch with what you really want. And like I said, this creates burnout, it creates resentment, it creates anger, it creates friction, lack of fulfillment, and overall, it just makes you a less happy, less healthy version of yourself. So, some of the things that you need to really focus on in order to improve this area, you need to determine you're worth it. You are worth putting in the time and the effort to make this life something you really want to live. You also need to focus on self-love. How can you love yourself more and support yourself more in this situation in order to get that desired outcome? And last, be realistic. This isn't going to change overnight. You have to have realistic goals and realistic expectations for yourself. And if you're sitting here giving to everyone else, no one's going to one day decide, oh, it's now time to give to you. you have to be realistic about this. You have to invest in yourself. And there's really, when it comes down to it, there's two ways to do this. And the first one is boundaries and knowing what you want, knowing your limits, knowing what is important to you and what matters. This comes from self-awareness. And obviously we talk about this time and time again, but it's so crucial and so important. And an example of this, it would be if you have an important project or something that really matters to you, you need to know how important it is so that you can then carve out that time in your day-to-day or your week-to-week or your month-to-month in order to fulfill your needs. And the last piece that really ties into that is you have to know your boundaries so that you can then communicate your boundaries to others. And I have like a little mental note on this, and it's like, you don't need to be a loser about this and just tell everyone like, oh, these are my boundaries and you can't step over my boundaries. But at least be able to acknowledge what your boundaries are and then communicate when they're being intruded upon. That's the real testament to the work that you've done. If you can sit there and say, listen, I'm not cool with that. I need this time, this space for myself. I can't do that. I don't have the time for that. Whatever it is, however you can communicate that you are making yourself a priority. Because at the end of the day, if you don't make yourself a priority, no one will. And like I said at the very beginning, you've spent all this time meeting everyone else's needs. It's time that you meet your own needs. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I will talk to you and see you in the next one. Bye.